Hey everyone, it is Candy Barone and Mara Whitener once again, and I am super excited to get into this conversation with you today, Mara, because we are going to talk about relationships and becoming more magnetic and how you are drawing the right people to you. And you and I like to talk about this as becoming the tuning fork in your business. And so when I say that, I'm gonna already just toss this over to you and explore what is it we are actually talking about today?
It's really all about relationships. I mean, now more than ever, it's about relationships in every different aspect of your business. But when we say relationships, because I see it out there, everyone's, partnership marketing and borrow other people's audiences and all these things. But when we're really talking about relationships, what are we talking about? And it has to do with every single thing in your business, from those internally on your team to relationships with your clients or those you serve, relationships as far as colleagues and who you interact with. Relationships is everything. And so it's not just the marketing piece. But when we're talking about kind of that tuning fork, we can talk about relationships ad nauseum. Um, but it's really about aligning everything and how you're going about creating and cultivating the relationships that make them super easy. It doesn't have to be this call sheet and you have to, all this maintenance and this overwhelm and this work, right? It's have some fun conversations. I mean, I'm a 4-6. I love conversations. So to me, I'm like, yay, let's talk. A line two may not share all of my
Right, this is
enthusiasm
too,
about.
there's a time and a place, but to your point,
Correct.
I think there's a couple things to really, to your point. Well, that's part of what we want to talk about is how we engage in those conversations looks different for each of us depending on how we are actually wired. And it's a function of
Mhm.
not just your type, your strategy, your authority, but it's a function of your profile. It's a function of what environments you need. It's a function of so many different things that create that unique blueprint for how you lead. And I want to come back to something you said because everything, and I do think part of because you and I are going to talk a little bit about what we're doing together, how we're redefining that word partnership and collaboration and just being in relationship together. I think there's a lot of opportunity to get away from the business buzzword partnership and collaboration and talk about what that really means as we're expanding consciousness, as we're redefining leadership and
Mhm.
recognize, because I think when you say everything is about relationships, we also need to understand that part of what we talk about is the relationship with yourself as well. We talk about it over this arc. And so we call it kind of the leadership arc, which is alignment, which is the am I in a relationship that's actually the right relationship for me with myself? Then there's the relationships themselves, which are the partnerships, the collaborations, your team, your intimate relationships, your family. Like it's that inner nucleus of your relationships. And then there's the culture and community that you're impacting. And are you doing that in a way that's creating a conscious energy? So it's conscious cultures and communities, or are you doing it by default and then wondering why you don't feel supported or why things aren't easy or why there's not this organic way? Because if you look at people that are aligned with how they're wired, they attract the right conversations, the right relationships, regardless of whether you're a 4-6 or a 6-2 with ease. Because the way you and I attract conversations and how those conversations are activated and move into something that could be more expansive when we now we both have the 6, so there's some similarities, but when we're in that space, it's a very organic, very flow, very natural way, and it looks very different for both of us.
Well, and I love that you brought up when there's a lot of people out there, and this has been a natural natural way we have been taught to think about things. And when we're trying to get the word about it out about what we do and get more clients and build our business and make more money or get out of the drought that we're in right now or whatever the case may be, it's okay, I'm going to go have conversations and I'm going to build these partnerships and I'm going to build these collaborations and I'm going to try this strategy and I'm going to do this. And to your point, what people don't necessarily always look at first is their relationship with themselves, the relationships they have around them.
Mhm.
I know a lot of shifts for me personally, and those you and I have worked with, a lot of shifts actually happen when you just focus on the relationship with yourself first,
Mhm.
and or at the same time the close relationships. Like there's been a lot of work I've worked on, in my marriage. A lot of things that have come up around, oh, well, that's why there are those family dynamics, and how I shift
Mhm.
has not only changed those relationships, but all of a sudden then things change in my business, things change in other relationships. I attract different conversations than I would have had I not had the intention to be aware of that. And so that actually shifts more than you going and trying someone else's partnership strategy or collaboration strategy or getting on this list or going, oh, I need to be in the front of this group because then I'm going to get referred and then everyone's going to know me. That very well might be a great part of your strategy. And
Mhm.
I will invite, when you have the intention to look at yourself and the relationships already around you first, which is completely different than what we're taught. Completely.
Well, and I
And
want
that's what's
to,
missing.
I want to highlight that because when we talk about sort of those smaller, more intimate in our inner circle relationships, one of the things, and I know you and I both do this. I mean, we use human design as an operating system. We work together in that capacity, both with individual clients in the internal and external architecture, as well as in our mastermind to help people figure that out. What we don't understand is some of us carry natural energies around agreements based on the circuitry, based on the channel. And we don't realize that there's three kinds of circuitry that lives in our chart. There's individual, there's tribal, and there's collective, meaning we have certain work and certain creativity. And again, it goes back if you see your definition on there, you're single or split or triple split or whatever you might be, that's very indicative of what you need in order to actually activate the highest level of your gifts in service for what you're creating and what work you're actually doing. And some people, maybe you're a manifester with a single definition, you get to choose who you want to play with, but you don't necessarily need a bridge to help you create in the capacity so that your work feels most powerful. Me, I have a single split, but I have a small split in my design, but I have like four channels that I actually am looking for. As much as I hate the you complete me kind of nonsense, I am looking for those people that bring that bridge. And you and I can have one of those bridges that's actually a significant agreement and relationship channel. And because when we look at tribal being that way we survive, the way we take care of the family, the tribe, it's very familial. And then the collective is what do we need to actually raise consciousness and evolve into our next level of humanity. We all carry specific aspects of that puzzle that's trying to come together. When we have, and for most people, if you're a generator type projectors, you have a need for those bridges because you're here to be working in tandem and in partnership in a very different way. And so to come back to that space that when you understand yourself and you understand that you have certain aspects of your design that are split. So while I have several places I don't have channels connected, I do have a lot of channels, but I have like 4 or 5 key areas that I am always seeking somebody who carries the other side of that energy because that is where my power becomes most magnetic.
Uh-huh.
And it's also where I have to be mindful of the unconscious agreements and tethering that can happen when those energies come together. And so if we don't understand that, I've watched so many times, and I do a lot of work in relationship dynamics, the penta, how people come together in groups and systems through human design. I have watched so many times how that underlying energetic and mechanics can either lift and really bring forth the juiciest of partnerships. And in fact, anyone I have any conversation that's around collaboration or partnership, the first thing I do is run our charts so that I can see who, where are we going to have natural tension points and where is there opportunity for real lift? Because I've also seen where they can be derailed and people then make it about the other person when actually it's this tension that's happening because of one of a couple things. One, it's a natural channel that's created that is for example, the 45-21 is a natural place where there can be a little bit of competition and there can be a little bit of pull, and one wants to give the resources to everybody, and the other one wants to hoard resources and like control and manage. And so there can be this control dynamic versus, say, like a 1949, which can create this intimacy, but can also create codependency. When you understand that, you then can match that energy in a way that says, have I done my work to actually show up in the power of what I'm bringing to that partnership versus, oh, well, we'll just see what happens and let it ride. And well, we might burn it all down. And
Mhm.
well, then, okay, we weren't meant to be in partnership together. And I would say, no, it's because one or two people are coming and they're so in the shadow or unhealed side that they're already bringing kerosene to a fire that never even got to be nurtured. And they're just dousing it and wondering why it, caught everything around it on fire and burned that shit to the ground.
Yeah, because there are a lot of strategies, classes being taught, all the things on how to build partnerships, how to build collaborations, and they're missing that piece. They're missing, listen, I am built to see possibility and opportunity everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I could find the good in anything or the thread of, "Ooh,
Default
but that's a
setting.
positive. I can find it anywhere." And
Uh-huh.
it was my default and my downfall for a very long time because I would follow all of the opportunity and all of the possibility. However, it's a gift of mine when I know how to follow it correctly
Yes.
and follow my sacral and follow the right.
And
Um,
creating the right boundaries because you do see potential in everyone and you
correct.
give so much that, like for you in your 4-6 and with some of your other markers, it was more around, is this partnership and collaboration creating reciprocity?
Yes.
And in
But
the
what I see
exchange,
missing, yeah, what I see missing from a lot of these things being taught is exactly this. They don't it's not getting to know yourself at the same time you're trying to build these partnerships. It's using email swaps. It's using leverage other people's audiences and go teach in them. And don't get me wrong, I'm naturally built to do workshops in other people's audiences, but I'm not going in there as my primary strategy without knowing myself. I have built curated relationships. It's not 100 relationships,
Mhm.
it's a few because that's how I'm built, but they're deep. These people intimately know how I work, what I do. And so it's the right relationship for me to pursue versus just any relationship of, based on what I do with the external. Hey, anyone that does marketing, we're great, right? We're
I
great
think there's
partners.
another piece to pull out of that that's important.
Mhm.
So yes to all of that. And the other piece that hasn't been brought forward is the fact that all those strategies and tactics, first of all, many of them are old ways of tit for tat, you scratch mine, I'll scratch yours kind of nonsense. That also
Mhm.
is not the way that you're talking about building partnerships. Because to your point, you are wired to go into groups and play in other people's networks, but you don't go in with an agenda that's like, if I do this, I expect this. And I'll give you this if you give me that. That tit for tat bullshit. That's like this very archaic, barbaric way for us to think that's how it's a keeping score, that when we are still playing by that old model that somehow is I did this many things for you and you did this. That is not what I mean when I say reciprocity. Reciprocity is an organic, natural, fluid energy that feels like my cup is full and overflowing, and so is yours. And we are meeting each other where we need to be at, to that a rising tide lifts all boats kind of things. And so the thing that I also think is important is where that works for you to curate those relationships is it's the relationship first. It's not about what you're going to get from that relationship. And I think we
Correct.
really need to emphasize that, because I want to make sure that whoever's listening to this does not hear us go, well, there's a strategy around. I actually would offer get rid of the damn freaking strategies and look at, am I actually cultivating and nourishing the relationships that make me feel more expansive, that actually feel like they're light, that actually feel like, I mean, you and I are a great example of that. We met October at an event that everyone said that we needed to connect. And from the minute you were on stage, I was like, oh my God, we need to talk. It wasn't, I need to tap into her and get this. Like, it was, we need to talk. We did talk. We were like, whoa. And then the next morning, by the universe's magical, like, we sat next to each other, started a conversation that hasn't stopped since. And since then, we have one-on-one clients, we have joint work and like collaborated together. We have a mastermind that is just delicious we've done together. And it has been easy and effortless because we both were able to show up and see the potential without it ever being a tit for tat. What am I going to gain by doing X, Y, and Z? And I think that's really important to put into this conversation, because I
Well,
think
it
that
is. And it's,
is
yeah, it's,
so critical.
well, and I'll just, once I learned that about in general, and then also about myself, I'm also in for the long game. That's a big part of how I'm built. It's more the long game. It's the long-term relationships. It's the long-term connections. I cannot, any tit for tat immediate response strategy is not a strategy for me. It's just not. So when you let go of things that aren't right for you because you learned about yourself, I can put relationships first,
Mhm.
and knowing myself, I can follow my sacral. This feels like a really juicy relationship to follow. I don't know what it's going to bring because I'm not bringing the preconceived notions, but I could come in and let's say I hit it off with someone, I could come in and I can teach in your audience.
Mhm.
Fantastic. If I get an immediate gift, great. If I don't, great. But if I follow the right relationships for me and my authority of really going, this is right for me. I don't know why, but this is right for me because we don't have to know why. I don't keep score anymore. I let go of keeping score. I let go of going, what can you get me? No, I'm here to serve. I blow people's minds when I have conversations with them
Mhm.
because I'm like, well, how can I help you? Well, what do you want in return? Don't know. How can I serve you? Because it's not about me.
Mhm.
We can't do this alone. To
No.
your point earlier in the conversation, we cannot do this alone. We're meant to build and do things together. And the sooner you can really go deep to really learn you, your purpose, how you're built, the more you can own that piece versus trying to own all the pieces that are adjacent to maybe what you're supposed to be doing. I'm going to ruffle feathers. There's a lot of business coaches that do this. I'm a business coach. Yes, and
Mhm.
what is your true purpose inside of that?
Mhm.
And how can you work together? This is why a lot of it's starting to not work for people anymore because they're trying to do all the things and they don't do all the things well. And
Well,
that's okay. They're not meant to.
no, and so to that point, I mean, there's two things in that. First of all, the fundamental human need for all of us is connection. We are wired
Mhm.
It is why we have a loneliness epidemic right now. It is why suicide rates, because we are the most disconnected, connected culture we have ever been in any time in history, right? And so the more we think we're dialed in through technology, through AI, through other things, the more we're missing real human connection. I mean, leadership really right now, one of the biggest opportunities to change paradigm is to bring the human back to leadership. It's to bring the ability to sit across from people in intimate conversations and actually nurture and nourish. I think about going to a coffee with someone. I had a lunch with a former client who now has become a new client again. It was so easy over lunch as we were talking and realizing we're both moving into some of our witch awakening and reckoning era, and we're moving into these spaces where deeper like inner circles and conversations. And I had asked a question, had she done her human design as she's looking at, I really am at that threshold or that chrysalis goo around what is my next evolution as a leader. And we just got talking and it was the easiest thing possible. And so I think about that fundamental need that we need to be seen. We need to feel like we are connecting to someone that actually understands us. And we have those, and you and I talk about this all the time, especially for women, there's a wounding around, I don't have a safe space to be soft because there's been all this performance, there's been all these layers. And I think about one of the most magical things that happen in our relationship was you and I were business coaches handling a lot of the things. And in our relationship, we've been able to drop in where I get to be the inner architect, you get to be the external architect. We're both using human design as a strategic operating system. We're bringing and bridging that conversation together because the work we do is helping people build their business by their design and not by default, so that they're not just taking someone else's playbook, especially a bro playbook for women founders that are like, well, I've done all the things and why do I feel like I'm still on a treadmill going nowhere? Because you're on somebody else's blueprint and playbook. To let them understand how they're wired, to have that relationship and alignment with themselves. It has allowed me to do the strategy, the visioning, looking at their team, their niche, their client, you to handle the infrastructure, the operations, the systems, the processes of how they're working. So we all like to say, I do the what, why, and who, and you do the when, where, and how. And so that allows us then a deeper, richer conversations with those who are supposed to be in that space. And the other thing that's magically come from it is the people that are in that mastermind now are building an inner circle and connection and collaboration opportunities because it's like they invited their soul family to the conversation and they're in it together, and we're seeing the power of not only our relationship through that lens, which has been mind-blowing at best, but we're watching what's happening to these women who are showing up, letting themselves be seen in a container that's safe to be soft, allowing them to bring forth that divine feminine energy. And for divine feminine, that leadership was meant to be in collaboration. If you think about the way tribes were designed, there was a council of elders that came together and everybody brought their piece of the puzzle. We're seeing the magic of that real time. And there's not competition. There's not this cutthroat CYA, I'll get mine and only one of them. It's a rising tide really is lifting all boats, and everybody is cracking open, and the growth they're having is exponential, and it's with ease. Like, I cannot stress listening. We have one client who's like, she's doubled her business. She's blown her number for the year out of the water by August. She's been in the mastermind since April.
April,
And it's
yeah.
like, and she's given herself a shit ton more spaciousness, time, and like living in her line too, like nobody's business, and like magically becoming this magnet that things can't help themselves but be like, yes, me, please. And
Mhm.
it's so easy and effortless. And I just, oh, there's such a magic in that.
Well, when we get stuck in it, but I have to do this, I have to try this, I have to build this, I have to do this funnel, I have to get in front of the, and it's all of the doing. Trust me, I'm a master. It's all the doing. And that's like the last thing that we need to do.
Mhm.
It's following, and it's not saying sitting on your ass and doing nothing either. It's following the right things when you're called to do them. So there's still action,
Mhm. There has to be
but
an
it's not everyone else's action. And what I love, well, there's many things to love. But one thing I love about what you and I, our partnership, our relationships, the intentionality behind it is, and we'll get more into this in another, because this is a whole nother episode. Relationships, and everyone should know this, relationships aren't just, hey, it's great, we have a relationship, awesome, let's keep going. Relationships do take work, and I say work for a reason.
Mhm.
Work has a connotation that means bad when it comes to relationships. Relationships take an intentional devotion. And so I will offer that is the definition of work behind a relationship. It's the intentional devotion of building and curating the relationship. There's been times you and I irritate each other. We're people. It happens. There's also very intentional conversations on the calendar once a month at a minimum.
Mhm.
But we've created the space not only for our clients to be soft and be seen and be heard in our mastermind, but we're doing it for ourselves because we get to go, but there is this partnership. We're also seen and we're also soft and we're also vulnerable, knowing there's no judgment, there's no competition, there's nothing that's going to come from the other side.
Mhm.
It's truly a safe relationship, partnership, and supportive.
Yeah. Well, and I think first of all, I love that devotion, that intentional devotion. I think we don't recognize, and this applies to any relationship, even when you're in communities and larger communities, but especially in your deepest, most intimate relationships. Relationships, this notion that a relationship's easy, yes and no. A relationship requires effort, attention, focus. What you feed grows, what you don't starves. And so when to your point, we were very clear that, oh, this relationship's working so easily. And we're like, yep. And we need a call once a month so that we can do premortems and postmortems to really look at, are there anything that are irritations that they might seem minor, but we need to call them out now before they become something that is that gasoline that's being thrown on the fire and gets out of control. And then the winds come and it takes it. And now it's like burning down forests and like small children and families and houses and like whatever, or the snowball effect, right? Like we don't
Mhm.
realize most relationships. I do a lot of relationship work, both in business environments. This is part of the internal architecture. I also do it in family systems and partnerships. There's a lot of relational work in human design. We're here to be in connection. That one of the things that I see constantly is the fight that explodes or implodes is never the thing that caused the fight in the first place. It is these micro cracks. It is these micro things that start stacking that started from an irritation because someone didn't ask for what they needed or someone did. And I'll give you an example. And Mara and I've talked about this, so I can share this. And some of it is, okay, I have to remember this. But Mara has an open route. I have a defined route. I am someone that, for example, if I'm like, we meet at 2 o'clock, I'm already on the call at 1:45, sitting in the waiting room, just waiting behind the scenes. Mara shows up 2 to 5 minutes late. It's a thing. And she doesn't do it intentionally to be late. It's how she operates. But it is that space that if there was a rub there, that we would bring that up to say, okay, for this specific thing, I need you to do better to be on time for this. The other things I can let go, just like she would say that to me when I get like on a tear and she's like, I need you to slow down on this one. And so recognizing it's not to shame each other, it's not to
Yeah.
shut each other down, it's to honor each other's energy. And we all have those things that we like to pretend are not our non-negotiables, or we like to pretend are not so critical for us, yet they are the things that send us over the rail every time. And we have learned that, especially when it comes to some of the behind the scenes in our operations, that I will gloss over if we go too far down a rabbit hole when I'm like, I can't. But I have to be the one that says that instead of just erupting and having anger and like blasting something back. And we've had conversations around that. We have brought that to the table so that we're not trying to resolve it when the energy gets big. We resolve it through Boxer. We resolve it as a conversation, as a, hey, I want to bring something to your attention. And we have a space at least once a month that is literally just designed for us to do a post-mortem on everything that happened over the month and do a pre-mortem on what could get in our way coming into the new month. And again, it's that intentionality that says, I value this relationship so much that I am going to invest my devotion to make sure I'm doing my part of the lifting. There is effort, there is lifting, there is, if I would offer, if your relationship feels like it's so easy and you never have a disagreement and you're not in a real relationship. You are not in a relationship if you always agree. It's kind of like companies that if they're always hitting their targets, you're not really growing. You're not challenging yourself because you are two different people. I don't care how well your charts do together. If you are fully in alignment with who you are, there are things that that person is here to trigger for you to learn how to A, ask for what you need, B, create healthy boundaries and establish what your non-negotiables really are versus the ones that you tell everyone. 3 are a mirror for you to see where you've healed and done your work, and they're a mirror to see where you're not. And I think about Gary Zukav when he talked about soul partnerships, and he's like, everybody wants their soul partner until they actually meet their soul partner. And he talks about how Linda was his wife. He's like, I didn't even find her attractive initially, and all she did was trigger the shit out of me. He's like, oh, soul partner mirror. Holy shit, she was the person through the chrysalis goo. And so, yes, Mara and my relationship has been easy. And it's also been a fucking mirror sometimes. It's been like, for the love of, and shit, is this what we asked for? Where we both have to take a time out and be like, I'm gonna get back to that one because that stung a little.
But I'm glad you brought that part up because
Right?
but it had everyone in a relationship needs to be open to when there are things that come up. It's not, and the intentional meetings are not bitch fest to be like, you did this and but you need to fix yourself. No, 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 no.
Exactly.
There's a mirror for them
Mhm.
and there's a mirror for yourself. And so being willing to have the conversations, but then also be aware of what the mirrors are showing and then hold each other through that growth process
Mhm.
and without judgment, again, without shame, without blame, without, we're human, we're going to have feelings. But when you know that that is a right relationship, especially in business, I mean, this applies to personal too, but especially in business, when it's a partnership, when it is a collaboration between two business owner, whatever that is, when you have literally called them in energetically, things are matching. It still takes very intentional space. It takes very intentional conversation, and it takes very intentional being there to help serve the other person because you are an active part of their growth just as much as they are an active part of your growth. And so, yeah, it's been a little telling with
Sometimes
the
it doesn't
mirrors
feel
that come
so
up.
good. And you're like, shit, like you sit there. We've had those conversations where we're like, I hear you. And I'm
I
gonna
love you,
scroll
Anne.
for a little bit, and I'll come back to that in a minute. And right now, I'm just gonna, because again, it's the notion of like we ask to have more courage, and the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it, doesn't just go magic pixie dust. You have courage. It gives you the things to work the muscle. And so when we talk about it, we want to be conscious leaders doing work that is creating a shift in leadership and evolution and the way we're designing business coming from a more human leading from love with love space. We both are 6 lines as well, which means we're gonna get tested to model and walk that walk ourselves, that we are human as well, and we have moments where the mirror sucks ass to be like, there are days we both spin out. And then there are days that, and I will say, because this is what I see also in relationships, that when things get tough, somebody wants to bail. And we will hold the line and be like, you can be pissed at me right now. You can not like what I had to say. And I'm still going to be here when you're ready. And we joke sometimes, we're like, we're married, but we're not married, right? Like we're in this space where there is that kind of sacred agreement that says we asked on some soul level, because we know we've come through many soul lives together. We've asked to grow in our leadership together. And that comes with an investment, that comes with a price that says you asked to be seen, you asked somebody to, and we have this dichotomy as humans that we really deeply desire that at least one person will really, 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 really truly see us, truly see our heart, truly see our soul. And in the same breath, we fear somebody really, 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 really seeing us because we live in imposter syndrome and we live in our shame cycles and our stories that somehow we don't think we're enough. When you have a soul partner that shows up to walk this curriculum with you, you will get to see both sides of that duality every day. And some days it's easier to receive than others. And I will say, because most people are like, God, you guys just click and you just, and we do. And we have some hard days as well. We have some hard conversations. And we both have learned to come back when we've settled through that to acknowledge what cracked open for us, acknowledge our truth, and drop into gratitude that says, I know I'm still fighting this, and thank you for seeing me through it. And this is where redefining that definition of partnership and relationships and collaboration, this is where we change what's happening outside in a world that we feel we can't control. What we can control is the very thing that marriage has said, that intentional devotion. Devotion, any of you that have a spiritual practice, you know, devotion is not easy. It's not always easy to get what comes through in meditations or through rituals or through whatever coding is passing through when you're in your dreams and the like. I won't even start. That's a whole nother conversation. But it's not easy when you have devotion in your spiritual path. And by the way, your relationships are about as spiritual as it gets.
And not every relationship in your business is going to look
No.
like this, right? Not, it doesn't have to look like this. This is not the only model and way it will look like. But changing the intention and the mindset behind how you attract these things. I think a lot more people are tired of building alone than would like to admit. We've all been taught I'm going to build and I'm the only one that can do this. And, you know, if I bring other people on, the whole competition and all different dynamics that we've just been taught, we just have to be these big old silos. And not saying you can't. And there will be a collaboration partnership piece that will be essential for that continued growth. Period. Hard stop. That's where things are moving. And so whether it looks like something like Candy and I, whether it looks like I have other partnerships and collaborations with folks that are long term and they look different over time. It could be supporting each other with an offer or something we have going on and be like, hey, do you know of anyone that might be interested? Sure. But we've built that relationship so we know each other. There's not this quid pro quo. It's I could come to somebody 3 times before they ever have anything that they ask me about, and it doesn't matter. It's not the, oh, but my email list has to be 5,000 and yours has to be 5,000 for this to be a, don't get me started. But it's, again, whole other conversation. Again, it's not the tit for tat. What it is when you approach working together, has to be together. It's not quid pro quo, it's together in collaboration. Number one, it's owning your part in it. And number two, it's are there things that you are doing, saying, being around you, not addressing, whatever the case may be, that are blocking you from being the magnet for the type of relationships that you're looking for. So it to be the tuning fork, right back to the beginning, it does start with you.
And I would offer inside of that, it also is, and I swear to God, this movie did so much damage for everybody's sense of what a relationship looks like. It's not looking for someone. Like I said, there can be people that will be bridges to help you activate a deeper level of your gifts, but it is not about anyone completing you. What I want you to understand is that alignment piece. What happens is there is a third entity. It's a three-legged stool. There is me, there is you, there is us. The us is the piece that gets built from the wholeness of the two legs that are already supporting the stool, that the third leg grows and can be fully a piece of the trifecta when those two things, and it's not to say you gotta, so don't hear me say, oh, I gotta be all healed, because that's a whole nother conversation we're gonna have in another call. It's not about I gotta have all my ducks in a row, I gotta be healed, I'm not talking about that, but your sense of self is, you know who you are, you know what you stand for, you know your due north, that you can then meet someone else in that same capacity. And this is whether it's professional or personal, because the thing you're building is the collaboration itself. So you are building, you are coming in with the foundation for the house that you want to create. Mara and I talk a lot about architecture in the house. You are the pillars that set that foundation for the house that's being built. You cannot have one pillar that's feeling wobbly and expect the other two to hold it. That it's bringing in, and you build it and keep building it as those pillars get stronger and stronger. But it is a sense of, if there is anything that says, oh, this partnership's going to complete my business or complete my mission, please, that is not what we're talking about. It's going to bridge to expand bigger opportunities that may not have been possible without that. It's a 1 + 1 = 20 equation versus 1 + 1 is 2. There is a magnifying exponential amplifier that happens when two whole entities come together to build something sacred. It becomes this 1 + 1 is 20, 200, 20,000, 2 million, that you create an impact. You create a frequency that I like to say is the Care Bear stare. It's, do you have the right people coming together to create the Care Bear stare for the work that is meaningful for you? That it's when you bring, Mara and I could have continued all day long doing business coaching at the level you're doing. I did operational stuff. You can't say it really lights me up, but I did operate, and I do it well, but it's not my genius. It's not my zone of genius. It's a zone of excellence. It can be, I can do it. But when I shine, when I can crack somebody open into who they are as a leader and how they're building their clients, their team, the why, the who around them, and getting back connected into their why, that's that due north, that there's nothing that lights me up more. And Mara lights up when it comes to, then how do you do this in a way that creates more ease and gives you back your life and lets you create this utopia where you're not on that treadmill going like crazy, but you actually get to reclaim power back to live your life. And it was through the collaboration of us that we both get to be in our zone of genius and be in the deepest, highest expression of our gifts, because we don't have to carry the other piece. We got to hand it over. I didn't need it to complete me, but it's allowed me to go deeper in what actually is the gifts I'm here to express and put in the world and share with the people that are for me. And so that's the magic that happens in those partnerships.
And it was vice versa. It was, can I do the internal work? Was I using human design? Sure. Like, I can teach you all about you. I can do. And it doesn't light me up. But it's also necessary for me to do what I do, which is really my zone of genius, is, I mean, I'll help you figure out the what. But if you got the what figured out, I got you on the how, man. Like, let's go. Because the how looks completely different for everyone. Again, another conversation. But the how looks completely different
Mm-hmm.
for everyone. And so I don't need to, I have deeper because then she can go deeper into what she does. I can go deeper into what I do. There's a natural intersection. So there's naturally topics and things like they're two separate things. They're like this. So there's naturally topics that overlap and work together. But again, there's no competition. Have you ever been in those conversations? Maybe this is just me because I see possibility everywhere. Have you ever been in those conversations where you're talking to someone, they're like, yeah, and I do that too. Oh, yeah, I do that. Yeah, I do that. I'm like, oh, can it be a yes and? Can it be like, what are you here to do? Not what are you doing?
Well,
What are you
to that
here to
point,
do?
what's so fascinating is you and I have also gotten extra clear about who doesn't fit in this container with us.
Yes.
Just because we do the inner architecture and external architecture doesn't mean everybody fits in this container of business by design either. So then we can refer out to other people we partner with in different capacities, because again, it's not about competition. There's enough. Abundance breeds more abundance. When we really serve the people we are here to serve, you heard Mara say, I'm not here for everybody in the whole group. And like, we're both designed to have in different capacities, more intimate, more depth, these really juicy, that we're not here for 6 million people. We're here for the right people to be in a really deep, safe container to do meaningful work, collaborating and being in community together. And so I am more than happy when because I've had people that I'm like, I hear you, and I don't think I'm the right fit for you, that have actually said, oh my God, Candy, thank you. I don't think but they were so afraid to hurt my feelings. I'm like, I have somebody else that you may want to work with me later on, but there's work I actually think you need to do before, because I also recognize how I do what I do. And I know Mara does as well, that for the wrong person, I'm actually going to set you up in a way that's going to do more damage than good, because you're not ready for I'm very activating when I help you step into your unique leadership voice and that alignment piece. Whether I want to be or not, I'm going to activate and catalyze. People that are not ready for that level of activation and catalyze, you're going to end up in the fetal position rather than being able to move forward. And I don't take that as well, I can do that. I understand who my work serves so that I can recognize who it doesn't serve as well. And I think that has been one of the biggest gifts we've also gotten in this partnership, is being able to say no more, and being able to say, yes, I think you might need to be part of the mastermind, but it's not the right time.
Not right now. Mm-hmm.
You need to do this and this work first, either with us individually or in a different capacity. And yes, this is the right space, and we need to give it another push or turn. We didn't do that as well until this thing came together.
Because we both were still in zones of excellence and still trying to serve those other pieces. And we did it well, but not to the level that we can. And like you said, it's easy to go, okay, yeah, you need some operational support, but I can't help you right now until this is the work. I mean, both of us have become clear on how we work, but also become clear. I mean, I have a natural ability to do it. You also do but this is actually the right work and the right resource for you.
And the right,
it's a big part of my power to resource match.
you need to work with Mara before you work with me, or vice versa. You got to clean up some things operationally before we can even get it back into the foundation to figure out what you want to be leading differently. And we need to streamline some stuff. So we also acknowledge that there's a way that not when we do this by design and not default, everything falls into place the way it's supposed to fall into place for you and for your vision and your deepest desire. It's kind of like, people used to ask me all the time, are you a business coach or a life coach? And I used to say yes. I'm like, what door do you need to come in? And it's kind of like where Mara and I work with people. It's like, Do you work with us individually? Do you come into the mastermind? Do you work with someone else? Like, what door is going to be the right door for you for where you're currently at, that's going to support you and give you that space that allows you to be more tender, allows you to be seen, allows you to do that intentional devotion in a way that's meaningful for you and not a check the box exercise.
And I will say, and why this came through right now, I don't know, but I will say the more you are in denial that there are things that still need to be aligned, the more you will push away what could be yours to happen. And listen, especially ladies, I I see you and I am you. It's really hard to admit when it's, well, we have it all put together. Like I've redone my schedule and I have this amount of free time and then I spend this time with the kid. Like everything's great. And what are the deep down things that aren't so great? And we've been conditioned that we have to put this mask on and everything is fantastic and I'm growing this all alone and I'm a badass and I'm a powerhouse and I've built to 7 figures and I'm going to 8 figures and I'm doing all the things. And then quietly inside at some level, I do not care who you are, at some level, there are pieces that you don't like or don't feel right. You may not be able to articulate it, but we have been conditioned not to expose it. Everything is great. I've made this choice. I've made this choice. Everything's aligned. I have the perfect team and I have all the AI bots and it's given me 5,000 hours back and it's done all of this. And we're always a work in progress.
And inside
But
of
there
that,
are very few places we allow ourselves to let go and be honest.
well, again, I would say that the biggest metric is, do you have the sense of freedom, peace, joy, and fulfillment you actually desire? Or have you conceded to, well, it's good enough? Because if you're not living your life in a way that feels like it's on your terms, that you feel fully free, that you are creating peace, that you tap into joy, and you are feeling a sense of success that comes from your own well-being and fulfillment, to Mara's point, I'm going to challenge whether you're really in as much alignment as you think you are.
But just know if you're looking to collaborate, build partnerships, work on that strategy for your growth, you will not be magnetic to, I don't want to say the growth partnerships because any that come your direction are going to be part of your growth. They just may not feel quite as fun and fantastic.
Well, they might not be the right aligned partnerships.
Correct. They're going to teach you some things, but that would be what you've called in versus these fun, juicy, dreamy, yet still require intention, fun relationships. You're going to call in what you need. So if you're calling in the ones that are screwing you and frustrating you and things aren't feeling right, you called it in. And that's not a shot, but we call in what we're a mirror. We're going to call in what we're supposed to. So if you truly want the juicy partnerships, the fun collabs, we're not going to compete. We're here to help each other. These joyful things that you can't even describe and I can't even put words on right now. It has to start with you. And are you actually calling them in? Or are you still calling in what is not so fun and is frustrating you right now? It's a mirror. So the more you can learn from it and realign from it, then you will start calling in the right conversations, the right relationships, the right partnerships, the right collaborations, the right people just drop in your lap and go, here, I want to pay you for what you do. And you're like, where did you come from? Because that happens too.
Mhm.
It's completely backwards from everything we've been taught.
Mhm.
And I have freaking international business degree. I've applied nothing that I've learned because none of it applies.
Yep.
None of it.
And so where I
Because it's not how we're actually meant to build.
no, and I think where this brings us full circle is to Mara's point. I think the question that we leave you with today is, what is the mirror trying to show you? Because what is the quality of the relationship showing up in your life, including, and most importantly, the one you have with yourself?
Uh-huh.
Because that mirror doesn't lie.
It will show you all you
And
need
neither
to
does
see.
your body and your sense of knowing. So, what is that mirror trying to show you?
Uh-huh.
With that, everybody, thank you for joining us today. And stay tuned because we will have another juicy episode in 2 weeks that we will be jumping into. And not quite sure where we're going to go in that conversation quite yet. So, with that, everybody, I'm Candy Barone.
Mara Whitener, thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.